Well, I've just been kind of staying here for a bit. No, this is your home now. Guys, I just need a name. Split the fine? 50-50? It's not a fine. It's just a warning. Oh, you put my name down. Or mine. You know what? Put down both of our names. That way it's official. Alejandro.
Don't worry, Janet. One day you'll find a good boy. Maybe not today, maybe not tomorrow, but one day. Maybe in the late fall, huh? Sweater season. Everybody look good in a sweater. Who is?
Mark?
You know him?
Yeah, he's 23, has a Pittsburgh.
Sounds strange.
What about him?
Why he take a selfie picture in the bathroom?
Yeah, I don't either.
Hello everyone. So we are ready to start casting off. I'm going to give a few minutes to get everyone in here. I see Pixie on the line. Welcome in.
Jacob Winnie selfie. Yeah, he's a pretty good.
Should we keep him?
Yeah. Now, what is a video game called?
Dating.
Maybe he's a better as a single player game.
I think so.
You better not get a high score.
Hello Moonchild, how are you today? Just kind of giving people a minute to get in here. We are going to go ahead and cast off. Sherry, make sure you go back to my profile page, click on the bell, and make sure that you have selected all notifications, and it will give you all notifications.
Yesterday, I did, and it's all just clearing itself out now.
Frank, you can't be doing that.
That might be the issue, and a lot of times TikTok, when they do updates and stuff gets set back to default, and it's not default set to all notifications, so that might be why. Give that a double check. Yeah, I took them off because, and I'm going to try something else. I was tired of going to the nail salon and asking for a natural looking nail and not getting a natural looking nail. I used to wear them like that all the time. It's called an American manicure and it's done with polish. And yeah, so I'll find a way to do it myself. It'll take me a little while, but I'll do it. So to cast off, we are going to, I'll show you how to do the cast off, and we'll cast off this whole piece, and then we will redo the math for both of the front pieces because we did this from pure measurements and no pattern. So what you're going to do, you're going to start knitting, and you're going to knit your first 2 stitches. You knit your first 2 stitches. You are going to take your very first stitch here, grab it up with your knitting needle, and you are going to pass it right over top of the other. Now what I'm doing is I'm putting tension here, which holds this loop here, and I'm just going to pass that or slip that right over top of the second knit stitch. So to continue on, we are just going to knit another stitch and pass the previous one over top of that one. You want to make sure not to put a whole lot of tension on this cast off. It should be very, very loose at this point. You can see I'm barely holding any tension on here when it's just slack in my hands when I'm passing this next one over. If you cast off too tightly, it will gather the top of your knit and it will not be the same size as the pieces that you are attaching to it. And this is actually nail polish. It's chipping all to heck. It wasn't really good gel polish either, Moonchild. But anyway, you know how your nails look when you take those other ones off. They look all shredded up. So I had to cover that up.
Yeah, it's just this guy wants to upgrade to a full-size with satellite radio and GPS.
You could do that.
I want to make it seem like I really had to fight for it.
Does this help?
Some of this, because this guy asked for it.
And that's all we're doing. Knitting to where we have 2 stitches on our knitting needles and taking the previous stitch and passing it over the one that we just knit all the way across.
Wait, am I in trouble?
And I know I'm working this pretty quickly. I'm going to stop for a second here, and I'm going to show you that it looks like you have a row of chain across the top of your work. Now, the reason why I'm casting this off in knit is because when I sew these pieces together, if this was my knitting needle, I would go through both loops
Stop running.
to sew together, because then your rows come together without this here. And the two pieces will go together without that. But it gives you a steady 2-stitch loop to stitch your pieces together through, which I've found to be a very sturdy hold together. Pulling on it, tugging on it. I've had some longer sweaters that I've stepped on and still haven't pulled them apart. I like longer sweaters. But, yeah, that's why I cast off in knit. And I like to do it on the knit side.
Janet, this is Ken. I feel like you guys get it.
Hi. It's nice.
So once we get this cast off, we will revisit our math and recount, because I don't know what I did with my paperwork. And I'm going to write it down and keep it with the sweater this time, because things just got moved around all over the place. And we will get started on one of the front pieces. I might end up
That sounds good. I'll have
doing some of this
I'm gonna change this.
outside of the knit along,
You know what? Me too.
so that I can get some of this done and get another one started,
I'm so sorry. I'm going back to bed.
or actually get some of the projects I have done
Me too.
Great.
here.
I'll just take those.
And as I'm going along, I'm going to stop and look, and it should kind of look like it's going to roll. If it's really, really straight and really, really tight, you might have to back up and do it again, which isn't fun to back up and do. Now, if you have to back up on a cast off, you're going to see your yarn here that you just slipped over. You will pick that loop back up, run it back over the top of the needle, and you can take that cast off out if you have to. Okay?
Now starting booty camp. Sound the same?
Just reversing what you did to slip it over, you'll slip it back the same way.
I like commuting. Keep customer moving. Come to
And I'll slow down here a little bit so that
maybe take
you can see
come back and buy some
what I'm doing with this dark, dark, dark yarn. I got plenty of light on, I think. Let me see if this will make it any better. Maybe a little. Maybe.
Just a cost, not a big deal. Not a big deal. Seriously, can we stop this? Yeah, I'm surprised you let it go on this long.
Make sure just to grab a hold of that one loop
Just call me a latte.
and not any loops up underneath, because you will grab a hold of loops underneath if you go too deep. So I kind of try and take it right up
I call my grandma.
underneath the needle and make sure I only get that one loop.
I have two grandmothers.
It's like one of the more though. See how much? Seriously, it's filthy.
Thank you for the heart me, Amethyst.
What's going on?
We get the liquid
I have to look and see. I hope I didn't miss any other comments.
Quite a talking to.
and that's not even angry.
Okay, we're good.
So you work every single.
So casting off the back piece, I did work mine to 32 inches in length.
It's like a magic.
Sometimes it's better when life takes away living.
And since when you like a juice?
And I had a
It's a elixir.
circumference measurement of 52 inches, which is all the sweater all the way around.
You okay? Or is that how we're starting this now?
No, it's nothing.
Okay, I'll take care of it.
No, it's not that. Well, yes, that's you, but it's Alejandro and I. Anyway, they say that fighting's healthy.
What happened?
He asked me to move in with him, and I said no.
Good. I mean, if you're not ready, it's good that they're not rushing into it.
That's what I said. And then he was all, "What are you so scared of? And I can deal with an off guard." this right now.
I'm here if you need someone else.
Oh, that's sweet. But
I did want to talk a little bit about what's going on with TikTok while I have those of you here in the knit along and those that follow me.
Sure.
The ban is going into effect September the 9th of this year.
I might not have a boyfriend anymore.
I don't know what may or may not happen in between now and then to reverse that. I am looking into other apps. Please make sure you go back to my profile page under the link tree and follow me under my other accounts. I have linked in there my YT and my IG accounts.
That was all Gerald.
A direct link right to those.
Plus, there's a guy sleeping right next to me, so it's not bad.
And I will post on either one of those where I will be
Like you say,
going live next, should this
going to the bathroom.
ban go into full effect. I'll make sure to do a video to let everyone know as well.
I was just a little anxious with the whole introduction.
I started looking at some of the other apps that I'm already have an account on,
Enough said.
that I could just proceed from there.
Hey, it's cute.
Really?
Yeah, it's a sweet gesture that she wants to have the exact same water bottle as me.
It's masked blue swan.
That comes in lots of different colors.
Practically everyone swan has one.
Not force blue. Anyway, I'm not saying it's bad. It's just a charming
Thank you,
coincidence.
Tullamore, for the rose.
Like the brunch order.
I knew you were gonna bring that up.
She changed the order 3 times.
So did you.
Exactly.
Oh, listen. She's flushing the toilet. I'm guessing she stole that from you too?
Hey,
Now here in just a minute we'll be doing a little bit of math. I'll go back over the formula again to share with you about knitting gauge, how to find out how many stitches you need per inch, and I can show you right off the back of this very, very easily. You've got plenty of space to do a knitting gauge measurement on this.
See you later.
I'm going to show you with the standard tape measure because not everybody has a knitting gauge ruler. I can show you what one looks like. It's a real simple tool. And they do sell them in craft stores.
It's a good idea to stay away from stuff.
But I'll show you how to do it with a regular tape measure because most of us fiber artists have tape measures.
Actually, everyone in the whole world eating that.
Not everyone in the whole world is a person.
So we got a couple more stitches here to cast off.
Oh, stop it, Cookie. Stop eating the chip. Stop
And then I'll show you how I finish it. And this is the only time that I put knots in my work.
Maybe it's not what you say, but how you say.
What you talking
So when I finish off a piece, you have to secure it.
Nice, huh? Always encourage a smile. So fun.
And what I do is I take a crochet hook,
Daniel, say I am not the
stick it in that loop,
Go after dinner walk.
and I will do 2 chains of crochet. 1, 2, and then I snip my tail just a little bit long, 3 or 4 inches, because I'll weave that back in. And what I do is I just take and pull my crochet hook and it pulls it straight through the loop. And then I tighten that down right there on the corner, and that's the only knot I ever put in my work. I do long tail cast on, so there's no knot in the beginning, and only to make sure that this isn't going to unravel. Now, for our knitting gauge, I had already figured out my knitting gauge with these needles, but I'm going to take a look at it again so that anyone following new will have the benefit of this as well. A knitting gauge ruler looks like this. It gives you the gauge in case your needles get out of the package or you're not sure what size it is because it's worn off the side. You can measure it in here. You can also use this here to measure your gauge, which is how many stitches you can get in an inch with a certain yarn and a certain size knitting needle. It could be fingering weight yarn, and the size is recommended for that. It could be larger sizes because you want lacy, but you want to use fingering weight because you want it light. Good morning, Horde. So knitting gauge is really important when you're talking about wearables and making it a certain size. we measure how many stitches are in an inch. So to be able to do that, you have to be able to identify a knit stitch. And I'm going to bring my
In my defense, I told her not
camera down here just a little bit so you can see the stitches a little bit better. When we're looking at these rows, the V's, you can see the V shapes. If I just isolate out, let me see here, one vertical knit row, you can see the V's in between my fingers, and just like this. We're going to lay our tape measure down right along the side of the first set of V's here. We're going to come right up underneath the bottom of those V's. And we're going to go over to the inch marker here. And we have 1, 2, 3, and not quite 4. So that's like 3 1/4. So 3.75 stitches per inch. And I need to write that down because we're going to need that for our math. And where did my pen go? There it is. So we have 3.75 stitches per inch. Okay, that's going this way, horizontally. Now we are going to also measure how many stitches we have vertically. So what we're going to do again, we are going to find the base of one of those V's right here, and we are going to count how many stitches to the top of this tape measure. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and a half, not quite 6, 5 and a half. So we're going to write that down here. And that's vertically, okay? This will help you to figure out how many rows you need to make your length. This will help you figure out how many stitches you need for width, which is how many stitches you're going to have to cast on. Now, at 52-inch circumference, we had to divide that in half because, as a sweater, you wear half in the back and half in the front. Now, for a cardigan with 2 separate pieces in the front, we have to divide that down again. So this number is 26 inches on each side, front and back. We're going to divide that down again because we want 2 pieces on the front. That goes down to 13 inches for my math. Now, mind you, the measurement that we made was the widest part of our torso, whether that be our chest, our waist, or our hips. We measured the widest portion. It could have been for a child, an adult, a dog, a cat, anything, the widest portion of the torso. And we're going to do a little bit of math based off of our stitch count. Okay, so each front piece is going to be 13 inches. Okay, we're going to take that 13 inches and we're going to multiply it by the 3.75, which was the stitch count that we got to go across, so we know how many stitches to cast on. Okay, when we do that math, I got to go in here and get my calculator here. We take, what the heck is that? There we go. 3.75 times 13. That gives us 48.75 stitches. Now I forgot to do a little bit of math. When we do 13 and 13, that doesn't leave any space for a collar band or a neckband. Normally I subtract 1.5 inches for the collar band from each front piece. So we're going to get rid of that number here for a minute, and we're going to do this. Takes it down to 11.5 inches for each front here. So we'll multiply that by the 3.75. And that gives us 43.12. So 43 is going to be our number. I'm going to round that up to 44 because I need an even number of stitches for ribbing. So we might even take that up another because it's got to be, no, 44 should be good. 2 knits, 2 purls. It's got to be divisible by 4. So, and then 44 is. So for the front pieces, we're going to cast on 44 stitches. Now I had a label inside here and I had marked all of this down. Okay, so on here I'm going to write 44 stitches, and this is what I will keep. Now I have stuff notated down here for the sleeve. When we get to the sleeves, we'll be doing some more math and I will show you how to do all of this again. And you need a calculator, and that's about it. Calculator, your knitting gauge, and the materials that you want to work with. If anyone has any questions about knitting gauge, what you normally do is you're going to knit up a swatch that is 4 inches by 4 inches. And you will take a measurement. Oops, my camera boom just came off. Technical difficulties, much. All right, there we go. Well, you got it. And you're going to knit a swatch. And then you're going to measure, and that will give you your number just like I showed off of here. Now, because I didn't write down all my numbers when I first started, I had to redo my gauge swatch, which I could do right off my back piece because I have stockinette stitch, and it's easy to measure. Now, there are going to be some patterns that you're going to come on to where it says you have to do your gauge in pattern. So if you're whatever you're making has a pattern, you have to do your gauge swatch in that pattern, and then you have to measure your stitches, which can be fun. All right, so we are going to go ahead and we are going to cast on our front piece. Is there anyone who is still working on the back, or anyone who has any questions at this point? All right, so we are going to show a cast on, a knitted cast on today. And again, that is going to be 44 stitches. All right, we're going to raise this up here a little bit and hopefully not pull it out of the stand again. I think I locked it down. And long tail cast on, you pull out a length, because we want this to be a little bit stretchy because we're working with the ribbing at the bottom of a sweater. You're still working on the back? Okay. Sherry, if you get done with the back before we get started the next one and you need help with your getting the front started, just hit me up and I'll get you started. Thank you for sharing the live, Sassy. So I'm just going to pull out a length. There is a mathematical way to figure out how much you need to pull out. And I also did want to demonstrate that you can use the outside of the yarn and the inside of the yarn at the same time to do long tail cast on. And it makes it a little bit easier because you have lengths of yarn and you don't have to worry about running out of long tail. Now I just have to find the other end here, which should be around the outside. But I don't want to have a whole lot of it pulled out and coming undone. Here we go. So I'm going to pull out a length of this, and we will use a string from the outside, which you just saw me unwind, which is this one here. And then I have a separate string that is coming from the center pull. Now, to start a cast on like this, we are going to have to fasten these two strings onto the needles. What we fasten it on with is a slip knot. And get it through here. Once we get all of our stuff casted on, this gets knocked off. We do not knit through this slip knot. Okay, so we have our two strings. One from the inside, one from the outside. You will not run out of your oar. It doesn't matter which string you put in which, because you will always be able to pull more from the outside and more from the inside. I'm going to switch these around here so they don't confuse me and get me all tangled up. And you will pick them up just like you would a long tail cast on, almost like a slingshot. Once you get the slip knot on and it's on your needles, one string is going to go over your index finger, the other string is going to go over your thumb, and the two tails leading to the skein you are going to gather in your fingers down here just like this. Okay? Then what you're going to do from this point is cast on. Now I will show you. We are going to go to the meaty part of our thumb. We are going to run that needle up our thumb. As we do that, it's going behind that first string. I will hold that with my index finger. Our needle now goes over to the pad of our index finger. We're going to run that needle down our hand, and you see what's happening? I'm catching another string. I'm going to hold that one with my index finger. I'm going to come back over here to the pad of my thumb, and I'm going to run the needle back down my thumb. When I do that, I can drop my thumb out and then snug that stitch up. And I have just put another stitch on there. Again, we go to the pad of the meaty part of your palm under your thumb, run up your thumb, go over to your index finger, run down your finger, come back over to your thumb, run down your thumb. Now I'm going to show you really quickly what that all does. You're basically going in through the loop here. You're grabbing this string, which is coming around your index finger, and you're pulling it back through your loop. I do a more descriptive, detailed palm up because there's so many strings here, you don't know which one I'm talking about. So, from the meaty part of your palm, up your thumb, over to your index finger, down your index finger, back over to your thumb, and run back down your thumb. Then I can let my thumb out of the loop and use that to snug up the yarn. Okay, we're going to cast on 44 stitches. And these are going to be stretchy stitches. There'll be a nice, ribbed elastic waistband or whatever around the bottom of your sweater. These do really good stretchy for your cuffs too, so that they're nice and secure around your wrist. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. If anyone needs to see that cast on again, let me know. I'm going to work them one at a time right now, Sherry. And it is stockinette stitch, so it's going to be real easy to work them up really, really quickly. And it'll give others time to catch up. If you do fall behind on the knit along and the knit along ends, I will still assist you on finishing this sweater. So the knit along does not end until, everyone says, hey, I'm done with the sweater. So, hi, Hessa Life, how are you? So, let me see how many we got again here. 1, 2, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 15, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21. And I am casting on with long tail cast on with a string from the center pole and a string from the outside. So I can cast on 1,000 stitches and not run out of yarn. Now I just lost my count again. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 18, 23. 26, 8, 32, 33, 6, 7, 8, 9, 40, 41, 42, 43, and 44 stitches. Now, what we're going to do, this outside yarn, we are going to cut it off, but we are not going to cut it up here. We are going to cut it down here. Okay, you're going to give yourself at least 6 inches. Because we are going to use that, I'm going to show you how I start my weave-in process off the cast on. Now I've just wrapped up that outside yarn. I still have the center pull. And I could have cast on as many stitches as I wanted and not run out of yarn. So you don't have to do any math. You don't have to keep trying to cast on because you don't have enough stitches. Or like me, if I have too long of a tail, I'll pull it back off and try and make this tail shorter because I don't like to waste. So you can do long tail cast on from the inside and the outside. Yes, you have to, Spider Mom. You have to. So I'm going to turn this around. I'm going to go ahead and start with my knit 2, purl 2 ribbing, and I'm going to do the first couple of stitches, and I'm going to hold both strands. I'm going to hold the tail that I just cut off, and I'm going to hold my working yarn, which is coming from the center of my skein. And we are going to, anyone need to see the knit stitch or the purl stitch, please let me know. I'm going to do, oh gosh, I got to look at the other one and see how many rows or how many inches I did of rib. And now I'm doing knit 1, purl 1, which is what I was doing on the other sweater that I'm working on too. Okay, this is, and let me double check and make sure. Yes, we did a knit 2, purl 2. Or I did a knit 2, purl 2. So about the first 3 or 4 stitches, I will go ahead and work both of those strings. And then when I take it back to the purl side, there's not much left. It's about that much left. It's pretty much woven. I don't have to deal with that anymore. Now, I leave that there until after I wash the sweater. I will weave in all my ends. I will leave the extra hanging because when I wash them and block them, those get relaxed in. And then after they come off, you know, the blocking and are all sewed together, if there's sewing together required, that's when I snip off all of my little loose ends to make sure that they're relaxed in there really good. I've had times where I've snipped them off close, did the washing and the blocking after, and the yarn wants to stick out the front or out the back, so I wait until it's good and relaxed in there after first wash and snip my ends off after that. Trial and error. That's all it was. Angel, thank you for the follow. Good morning, LaShonda. How are you?
She wants to poke a tan juju, dude. Yeah, or bad autocorrect.
So we are just working rib, and when I get this row done, I'm going to make sure that I don't knit that last stitch because it was a slip knot to tie it on to the needle, so I could do the long tail cast on using the inside and outside strands of yarn.
Okay. Can I pay for this now, or are you still texting?
Oh, hi there. Have you, are you okay? I've lost my Zuri. What's Zuri? My baby.
Okay, here's the last 2 purl stitches, and here we're coming up on our slip knot. And all I'm going to do is take and pull that out, and I will take these and they will get woven in later. So there was the long tail cast on with the inside center pull and the outside piece of yarn. And like I said, you have an infinite amount, well, not an infinite because you've only got the one skein of yarn, but if you had to cast on a whole skein worth of stitches, you could do it because you use the inside and the outside.
Yeah, no problem.
Mr. Necktie.
Hey, cool. Miss Janet?
Good morning, Lady M. How are you?
I couldn't decide between silks and the next
Yeah, Sherry, I was going to try and work both the fronts together, but I think I'm going to take my time on this and enjoy, you know, my first knit along here. I did want to get the back caught up a little bit after, you know, being off because of the carpal tunnel.
kimchi with the
And I said I was going to check that other piece there. Let me do these 2 pearls. Put my yarn to the back. I want to check and see how many rows I did on that rib.
Why'd you come over to watch it?
Let's look here.
You sure know how to make a guy feel cool.
That's not what it meant. Gerald was invited to
1,
this
2,
party and I
3,
wasn't.
4,
The old case of the Phobos.
6,
Here, Miss
7,
L.
Yeah, I
8.
got that Blu-ray.
Blu-ray.
Looks like I did 8. Let me double check.
So, what's the special with our party?
2, 3, 4,
It says girls in
5,
store
6,
first, so
7. Yep, 8 rows.
there's free wine and booze.
So we'll do 8 rows of knit 2, purl 2, and then we'll go to stockinette stitch.
You want to stare at Velveeta. That's a city.
And it'll basically be just the ribbing that we probably get done today. I might do a few rows of stockinette stitch before I set it down. That way I don't continue the ribbing when I pick it back up. I like to have a little bit of the pattern that I'm getting ready to start doing when I set something down. I am going to be finishing up the Rory sweater today. I have the second sleeve almost done. I got about 30 more rows left to do. And then the sleeves will get washed and blocked. I should be able to sew the sweater together by tomorrow evening.
This is exactly what I was teaching.
And then it'll be off and on its way. I have patterns to finalize. There's some changes that I need to make, but
You haven't told me that since I was a kid.
I'm doing really good. Doing really good.
Circle on that.
When are we gonna be off it? Maybe I should buy you a rose.
I was 10.
Is it my brain that did it?
Pretty peaceful this week.
Or the fact that you let me out of cupboards that John locked me into.
What can I say? I'm a nice guy.
Make sure that my
That's real. I'm gonna hit the good cookies.
rib comes out right. So I've got these double stitches down here, or double stranded stitches. And I want to make sure I don't split them up and add extras. Okay. And we got 2 rows of rib. I don't know if you can really see the ribbing in there yet or not, but as you work on, it will come to life. Good morning, Twisted. How are you this morning?
So long. Oh, it was so hard getting this little girl out of the house. I forgot her treats, then I realized I forgot the 2 bags. Then I had a quick cry. Okay. Well, I totally need to tell you all about the food reunion. Oh, I can wait. My cats are fed and completely traumatized, so they'll be sleeping for a while. All night.
Yeah, once I get the Rory sweater done, there was a comment about my skull sweater today. I will be back to that once I get the Rory done, so I don't know how much I'll be able to work it on here. Maybe the sleeves, because it's hard to count colorwork stitches and carry a conversation on.
I'm so grateful. Oh, that is totally unnecessary.
You have to take it out to the ribbing. You might not have to.
Well, if you're sure.
You have stitch markers in your sweater for what, Sherry? Were you doing cables? If one side has one more stitch, it's okay.
Right.
It's not, you don't have to take it out for that. So how many stitches did you have marked off inside of your stitch markers before you rip it all out? Somebody's comment got filtered. Please try to reword your comment so TikTok will let it come through.
Show. Where's your dumb ass? Do you have any siblings?
She's an only child.
Does she know you know that?
How many stitches do you have, or should you have in between your stitch markers, Sherry? And is the extra stitch a purl or a knit?
Negative perspective is like it's creeping in. Hey, Tree. Oh, she's from Janet, yeah.
Yeah, I just don't want anyone to think that I'm not answering their comments because you might be able to see it on your side because you typed it, but it's not showing it to me over here.
Great.
It's showing that it's been filtered.
Thanks.
Here we go. That's why I couldn't do that stitch because it's not supposed to be a purl.
At all. He's just my brother's friend. Oh, is he an artist? No. Don't even think
I'll get
he's
it going here in a minute.
Like I say, he's my brother's roommate, kind of single, one is for mine.
So when we get done the fronts, we will be doing the sleeves.
I thought you were, like, get back to that.
And then when we get everything all sewed together, we will be doing the neck
Gerald.
and the collar band up the fronts around the neck.
So you're okay with displacing Andrews here, but not when I ask?
Kind of two-face.
Well, I'm probably not gonna need that much.
I'm out. I'll pay it up.
Oh, you didn't have to pay for me.
Right. So your brother's friend, kind of single.
Oh, honey, yeah.
Kimchi,
You know what? It's totally cool. I'm just gonna go home and try to learn what art is.
Well, it's kind of scattered.
I know it was a stupid thing.
When you take a picture, do you just press the button, or is there like a bunch of elves inside the camera?
Oh, I guess that was.
Oh, okay.
I don't even know what.
One stitch isn't going to make a difference in your sizing.
Sure you don't want
So I wouldn't pull it all the way back out just for that. No, I wouldn't.
no.
That's a lot of work to lose for one stitch. If you're really concerned about that one stitch and the shaping and the count, at the end of your knit row, on the side that is missing the stitch now, if it's at the beginning of the row, I want you to knit in the front and back of the first stitch. If it's at the end of the row, same thing. Knit in the front and back of the first stitch. But only one or the other, whichever side has the minus number of stitches. But that one stitch isn't going to change the overall sizing of your sweater. It won't. Alright, twist it. Just, take your time and recover. Lots of fluids. Make sure you get good proteins in you and you'll heal up. Yeah, you don't have to do that, Cherry. That would be way too much work. And I've got my rib off somehow.
So many people get hooked.
Because it's...
Definitely a rebuild in the off season. Yeah. Definitely. Excuse me. Do you have soju for a soju bomb? Yeah.
It's really off. Let's back up here a little bit. Hopefully it's not the other row.
I have lots of money. 64.50. Yeah, this is just a tip. My son paid for this. Thanks. Come back. Come back.
Hey,
You here for your snacks? I already ate them all.
how are you one streetcar?
Something's happened here that it's not right.
No, I
Those two should have been pearls. This one should have been a knit. I had to go back to the beginning of this row.
I'm sorry. Will you accept this buddy road?
So you asking me to be your friend?
Yeah, kind of a new phase for Planet Janet and Blu-ray.
Sure. There's buns in it.
It was the best one we had.
Yo, tell me you at least got her lipstick color.
I don't want to know what that means.
You gonna see her again? Yeah. Then go on. Alright. Pirates of the Caribbean, director's cut, with commentary and alternate endings. Didn't you just watch the movie? Wish. I'm in.
Sorry, I'm not that good.
Okay. I think we got it. Maybe. Oh, he hasn't got tagged yet. Yeah, that COVID's no joke. Oh no. That's not good. Not good. I'll do that one that way. I'm probably going to have to take this apart because, yeah, no. Did I drop a stitch? I did something right there. I got a big old hole. I'm going to have to take this apart and fix that. So that's not right. So yeah, I'll have to cast all my 44 stitches again. But I'm going to go ahead and leave you guys here for today. We're almost into a full hour. Does anyone have any questions about the sweater? Sherry, all you have to do on the next knit row that you do, whichever side of your sweater that you're missing that one stitch at the beginning or at the end, just your last stitch, your first stitch or your last stitch, one or the other, knit in the front and back of that stitch and it will add that stitch back in for you if you're concerned about the count. If you're not concerned about the count, make sure you know exactly how many stitches you have in that piece because you don't want to drop another stitch. And you might want to look and see if you might have a dropped stitch. If you take and gently, look, you'll find a drop stitch. Or you might have accidentally knit two together. But it's not a big deal. One stitch isn't going to change the overall look of your sweater at all. You just don't want to lose too many more. Oh, okay, Twisted. I'm glad to hear it. Send me some pictures if you can. I'd like to see it. Yeah, Sherry, you can add a stitch if you like. If it's going to ease your mind, it's not going to make, a difference in the shape, like I said, if you add it or if you don't. Just make sure you do know your count currently because you don't want to lose too many more stitches because then it will start, So, all right, everyone. Thank you for joining me today. And we will, okay. We will see you next Thursday. I will be here tomorrow for the crochet along, and I am ready to start doing the extensions. So we will be doing the extensions and probably sewing together the pieces. I have to figure out before tomorrow whether I want to do just the regular original granny square stitch extensions on the back or if I want to use granny squares. And it'll be something, if you're following along with that you have to decide before tomorrow as well. Because after we do those extensions, the only other thing we'll probably have one more week of the crochet along just to do the collar band and the cuffs. So all right, Twisted. Yeah, whenever you get around to it, I just love to see it. I love seeing people's work. So everyone have a great day. I'll see you tomorrow or next week. May all your stitch counts match, and happy crafting.